Hi, welcome to Instant Impact Events. I'm CJ.
And I'm Cheryl. Hi guys, welcome to another episode.
Here.
We're so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Yep, for sure. We've got, we're always, each time, in case you're new, we always talk about a different episode. Each time is a different topic. So each episode, normally they're titled kind of what we're talking about. We like to keep, our episodes short, sweet, concise. We've had a few that have gone a little bit longer.
Yes, very long.
And the feedback on that was that, if we can keep them shorter, the better. That way you guys can gather the information, take the nuggets, and put it into use. And so that is what we are working on. And, our tagline is it only takes an instant to make an impact. And so we figure why not keep our episodes impactful in a shorter amount of time and to the point. That way you can listen. You can take away some information, and then the most important thing, it's not about listening, right? It's about applying.
Yeah.
So when you're going through and you're listening to these episodes, think about what can you take away and what can you utilize and what can you put into use, and not say, well, that's a good concept, or that sounds good, or actually start putting the. I mean, the reason you're listening to this podcast or this video series for you is because we're assuming it's because you're in the event industry, whether you're an event planner, whether you're in event production, audio visual, whether you're wanting to put on your own events. And so
you need to start from somewhere,
right? And so utilize the information that we're giving you and that we're talking about, and then actually put it into use. And then if you have questions, let us know. We're here to. We're an open book, so we're here to help and
at all times.
To be a resource. But the most important thing is to listen, take down the information, and start applying it and putting it into use into your event planning business or your event production business or your audio vision, wherever you're at, and whether you have experience and you've done this before or this is brand new.
Right. You'll still learn little tips and tricks, something that'll help you during your events. Even before your events, or what to do after your events.
Yep, and that's the feedback that we get.
There's always something to do.
Yeah, it's like, wow, okay, I've been doing events for a long time, but I didn't really ever think of that.
Right.
Or, I'm totally new, I'm green, right? This is something I've never done, and I'm so overwhelmed. And so having a place to start, or at least one thing each week that's actionable that you can utilize.
How do you create an experience?
Right.
Yes.
So, that's what we always talk about, an event as an experience, and we actually have an episode all on that. So if you haven't listened to that one, it's how having your event, it's an experience that you're creating. Yes. Today we're going to be talking about event team, right? Who are the people that you need to be
surrounding yourself with, having
on your team, whether they're on your immediate team or whether they're people that you just work with that are on your team
that comes in and out.
Right, for a specific event that you're doing. But there's a lot of different people that you can have on your event team. That are not full-time. Who are those people, right? Maybe you're one of those people, right? So maybe you fill a certain role, but what are the other things or other people or other vendors? And that's another part of your team. We can start with that is vendors can be part of your team, right? Whether they're people that you get the linens from, or you get flowers from, or you get your welcome gifts, or your all kinds of different things that you can be doing.
Anything you want to use,
Those are all people who can be part of your event team to, again, have the overall experience.
Yes.
A lot of times people don't think about that as a team member, but it really is because they can add and enhance and help you out with your event.
Correct.
And be a part of your team. And then you find the ones that you work really well with, and then you're able to work with them consecutively for multiple events, for other events in different areas as well.
Right.
Yeah. So the first person, and it's not in any particular order, it's the first one we're going to talk about really, is your event planner. So this is someone who is going to be planning the event, putting it together, working on the venues, working with the timeline. They're really going to be your integral part. And a lot of times you have an event planner and or an event coordinator, right? So someone who's coordinating the event. You could have someone who's planning it and kind of working with the venues, working at the location, making sure that you have the contracts and the rooms and all that. And then you could have someone who's more of like the coordinator who's going to be at the event coordinating it.
And running the event.
Sometimes that person is one and the same. Sometimes it could be two different people. So just keep that in mind. But there's a lot that goes into having an event, and your event planner can help alleviate a lot of the things that come along with that. And if that's your role, if your role is event planner, then you need to know that your job is to make this event experience the best one for everyone involved, right?
Yes.
For maybe you're an event planner and you plan other people's events. So you, for the people you're planning it for the speakers, for the people that you're working with, for the audio visual, like it is your job to make sure that you're, you know, taking care of all the details.
All the things.
And really, you've got to have your list, your agenda, your start to finish what you're going to be working on. It doesn't mean you have to do all those things. You usually make sure they get done, right? And then if you're an event coordinator,
just section that off.
It's like, okay, I'm going to have this person over here do AV. I'm going to work with this venue over here. I'm going to have the coordinator help with this. We're going to have, you know,
flowers over here.
We're going to have these different vendors that we're working with. And so everyone's going to work together, but it's your job to make sure it all comes together and that no balls get dropped, nothing falls through the cracks or gets forgotten.
Everybody's being taken care of.
Yep. And then, so then your coordinator could also be the planner as well. Sometimes you wear dual hats on that.
Yes.
But other times the coordinator could be the person who's there coordinating the event. So at the event itself, it's like, okay, they're the ones that have the agenda. They have the stuff. They're coordinating, making sure everything is set up the way it needs to be, making sure you're staying on track and on schedule, making sure that everyone's there. Everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. They're manning their posts, all those types of things. So it could be two people, it could be one and the same.
Yes.
All right. Next one is
event coordinator.
No, we already talked about that.
The AV tech.
Yeah, the AV tech.
Yes. So it might be in-house. It might even be from the venue, or it might be somebody on your team. And
it could be outside AV too.
Outside AV, and if they're a part of your team, they're going to know the responsibilities of what to do, the changes you might make for this event. And then if it's an outside person, you're going to have to teach them step by step or show them the schedule of what the plan's going to be for this time. What speaker? We're going to open the doors at this time. We want this kind of music. Then the first person, the MC, is going to speak for this amount of time. He's going to, make sure he has his mic and his mic check and everything's done. And it's just going to go down the list. Even if it's a 3-day event. It could be a one evening event or a 3-day event, but that's how it's going to be. Daily.
And a lot of times, your AV person, they know what they're doing. So let them do what they do best, right? Help them facilitate, ask what they need assistance on. But a lot of times, like, you might not know anything about AV. And so you're going to them and saying, hey, I have this amount of people at my event. This is what I'm planning, and they put it together for you. Like, this is what you need here, here, and here. Awesome. Great. Take the ball and run with it, right?
Yes.
The main thing when you're putting together your team is letting everyone run with what they're good at, right? Your job is to make sure your event comes together depending on, and who knows, what maybe you are listening and you have your own AV business, or you're an AV tech, or maybe you are an event planner, or maybe you're looking at putting on your own events. It depends on where you're coming from, what perspective you're looking at for this. And yet remember, whatever you're good at, do what you're good at, and then bring in the other people.
And make sure you have the right peak person in those roles. Make sure they have experience. Don't just grab them and they're
off the street.
And they have a mixer and a mic. And that's it. That's not going to help you.
You got to make sure that you're getting the right team members onto your team. And sometimes, if you're going to have multiple events and you're going to have a lot going on, you're going to start figuring out who are the people that I like to deal with. Now, if they're in different locations, then maybe you keep going back to those different locations so you can continue to deal with those people. Sometimes, you can bring people in from out of other areas. So just know who you're looking at to add to your team and let them do what they're good at. You focus on what you're good at, and then everyone's you're overseeing it to make sure
and they might give ideas also. And make sure during their meetings that when you're going over things, they're going to have certain ideas that might even make it better for you.
And be open to that, right? Be eliciting, hey, this is what I have. What other ideas do you have? Same thing with the event planners or event coordinators.
How can we make this better?
The vendors that you're working with, hey, I was thinking this, for someone who's doing floral, or maybe they're doing the linens, or maybe they're doing, there's a whole myriad of things, right? It's like, ask for their expertise. They're good at what they're good at. Let them be good at it, right? Let them shine. It's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on how this could be better?
They're not going to attempt to get more money out of you.
No.
It's about, don't think that way when they suggest something. that might be a little small amount, you know, just they might want a gobo. But it's only going to cost this much. But guess what? You're going to have that. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a part of the experience.
And so some things are specific and unique for that particular event. You're going to use it, you're going to rent it, you're going to have it. Some things you can have and you can use them multiple times too.
Right.
So it really depends on the event that you're having. You need to have your event budget so you know what you have to work within, but then you also just need to let everyone run with what they're good at. Don't
Right.
micromanage, don't attempt to, be like, well, I want it this way. It's like, here's my vision, here's my idea. What do you see that you could do to facilitate, to
Yes.
help make this even better than what my idea is, or where
Yes.
I'm coming from? And so then you're working together, and then everyone has a vested interest
Yes.
in that event because their ideas are in there, right? Their perspective is a part of it. They're now
they
vested
feel like
in
they're
that.
molding something together
Right,
as a whole.
and it's not just, hey, I want this is how I want it, this is how it's going to be, do
Right,
it, right? It's like,
right.
hey, we're working as a team here, it's more collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
so we're collaborating on this event. We want the experience of the event to be this.
Oh.
What do you see that we
Yep.
could do to have that, to come in to help with that?
The same with the videographer.
Yeah.
You want him or her in that meeting also,
Mm-hmm.
because guess what? They'll say, okay, we can have one camera in the back shooting a wide shot, but how about I'll roam around with the other camera?
Yeah.
I get the B footage. I get the people talking. I get the people hugging. I get the people kissing. I get the families together doing something. I can be on one knee doing this. You know, videographers want to get out of their little norm also.
And let creatives be creative, right? And that's, events are very creative in amongst itself.
Yeah.
And so people who are event planners have their own creativity, right? People who are audiovisual people, they have their own. People who are videographers, everyone has, it's not a engineering role where it's set in stone and it's got to be this way. That everyone is a creative. Let them create, right? That's what you're working with, and that's what you're working on when
Yes.
you're having an event, and that all adds to the overall experience because then you're using everyone's area of expertise and their
Yes.
creativity, and that then all comes together
To a great
to make
experience.
your
Yes.
event the best experience possible.
Possible, for sure.
Because you're collaborating with everybody and everyone's creativity is shining, and then you're going to have the best overall look, feel, and experience of your event because it's not just you saying, well, this is how it is, this is what I want, and you've got the one perspective, right? You've
Yeah.
got multiple perspectives
And you
coming
can
together.
also have, remember, you use some different ideas for this event. Guess what? You can use those same ideas for your other events. And then in your next meeting, that's going to change also.
Yeah.
So that means you're getting better and you're getting bigger and you're having more ideas and your events are going to be even better each time.
And every event you have should be an evolution from the previous event.
Yes, never
you don't,
be stagnant.
You never want it to be the same.
Never.
Everything, there should be something that's different, something that's unique, something that you're taking it up a notch, right?
Yes.
There's another little something, a little thing, because then you're continuing to add, and then it's an ever evolving, growing organism instead of something that's just here, we've been doing this for the last 15 years, so that's what we're going to continue to do, right? Or hey, this worked last time, so let's do that again. It's like, okay, that worked. What could we do this time though
Yes,
to make
better.
it even bigger,
Make a
better
change.
overall experience?
Yes.
Because maybe you have the same people coming to each and every event. You don't want it to be like, well, this is the same event as last time,
Exact.
right?
The same.
And
No.
there's certain people who that's what they do. It's like, it works. If it's not
Don't-
broke, I'm not going to
don't
fix
fix
it,
it.
right?
And that's wrong.
And you've got to always be growing and expanding and evolving
Yes.
and changing.
Just one tweak here and there.
With
would
the
help.
industry that we're in, there's so many new things that come about, right? Or little
Technology.
changes or little. It's,
Yes.
You want to grow with just like these flowers in the back right here. You want to grow, right?
Yeah.
You
Or-
want to.
yes.
You don't want to always be the same.
Add another
You wanna-
screen.
right?
What's really? You can add another screen? Yes, you
Yeah.
can add another screen.
Or maybe you change things up for your breaks, or maybe you have different colors, or
Mm-hmm.
you're working on more of your branding, so you bring in more branding. Like there's so many
Maybe you
things
had a
that you
green
can do.
room for your speakers in
Yeah,
the back.
yeah, exactly. So that's all things that you can work on. The next one is your admin or your administrative team. That is part of it. That's normally people who are coming from the office or coming from wherever you have your team, and certain ones are going to be helping. Maybe they're helping with registration, or Maybe they're people who are making sure you have, like, this is what we need to make sure we cover. This is how we're going to get this done. And so you have those 1 or 2 people who are your admin team, right? They're not necessarily the event planners and event coordinators, but they're the ones that know the inside
More
daily
the
workings
office.
of the office.
Yes.
And so they bring that perspective too.
Yes.
A lot of times those people also have rapport with the attendees, people who are going to be coming to the event,
'Cause they
because
talk
they've
to them all
communicated
the
with them
time.
either on the phone or through email or different ways. And so they play an integral role
Right.
in that as well. And so we want everyone to feel welcome. We want everyone to feel included. And so you've got to listen to everyone. It's like, okay, what are you hearing that people are wanting, or what are some of the challenges, or what are some of the things that they have going on that you need to work with them on, so that you just continue doing that. And that follows through from registration to administration at the back, the tables at the back.
Sales.
Well, that's another thing we're going to talk about right now is sales. So that's another component. If you're going to be doing selling at your event, then you need a sales team at your event.
Yes.
But their specific role is to facilitate in sales, right?
Yeah, not just one person.
No.
From the office.
You got to have someone who that's their role. That's what they do. They're there to help and guide and direct and lead, but also to sell, right?
Yes.
Because that's their component. If you're having, maybe they're doing one-on-one sessions, maybe they're doing breakouts. Who depends on how
Maybe they
you're
put together certain packages that you need to have.
It depends on how you're facilitating the sales. If it's more of an expo, it's going to be people standing at the booths, selling at the booths, right? So those are all part of your team that you need to have, and everyone needs to know their role, and you need to let them shine in their role, but everyone also needs to know who everyone else is on the team so that everyone can work well together as
Right,
well.
and if that one person doesn't know the answer, point them to somebody who does. And also, during rehearse, when you rehearse, have your 10 questions that are asked mostly. Do it. Have your questions answered.
And that's, a lot of times like, okay, these are the questions that we get a lot. So let's make sure everyone's on the same page about that. Or this is the person, if someone has a question, we refer them to this person here because they can help them the best. The same thing for coaches. So some events you do want people who are not necessarily the speakers, they could speak, but they're more of a coaching role. They're there to do one-on-ones or do those breakout sessions or to help more on a smaller setting for the attendees to get the most
one-on-one
out of the
time.
experience. To be
And
able to
that's
sit down.
needed. People want that time.
Maybe you're having consults, 15, 20 minutes where you sit down and say, okay, where are you at? What are you doing? How can we help you? How can we facilitate this? Different than a salesperson, right? Because now you're coming from we're here to help you. How can we help you? How can we make sure you get the most out of this experience? What questions do you have? Because some people are afraid to stand up in front of everyone and ask their question, but they'll ask it on a one-on-one setting, right? So if you know that, it's like, okay, and then you can take some of those questions and be like, okay, now you can talk about it from the front of the room. It's like, these are the questions we've been getting, so we want to go ahead and address that for everyone. Because normally, if 1 or 2 people have a question, a lot of more people have the same question, right? So the main thing when you're looking at your event team is to know that let everyone shine in the role that they're in, and yet together as a collective whole, that's how everyone works together. Everyone needs to know one another.
No micromanaging.
No, you need to let them go in their role.
Event.
No.
Just
Let
you
them
already
do.
train them ahead of time. Don't be right behind them. Just listen.
And you want to
You don't want
have
that.
you want to have the time before the event where you bring everyone on the team, and if everyone doesn't know everyone gets to know this is this person, this is their role, this is what they're doing.
They've
this
been
is what
here for years.
This is what they brought to the event. This is this person's role. This is what they're doing. This is how, if there's questions, let's direct them over here to this. If we have questions about this, let's get over here to that. And so you start, everyone knows their roles and their responsibilities, and then everyone's able to work together better as a team, because while every person has their role, together we make the team. Right? And so, and sometimes, there's some events people can be a little bickery, like, well, this is my thing, this is my, it's like, it's got to all go. We've got to all got to be a team working together, knowing everyone has a role. If there's
Ego
a
out the
challenge,
window.
if there's a challenge, there needs to be one person that takes care of that.
Yes.
Right?
And in charge of that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if there's anything that we need to discuss or address, then there needs to be the one person who is the be all end all of, this is the one we go to for the final answer, the final word on something, and that person needs to be known so everyone knows who that is. And yet, when you start working together and you start building your team and you start building the camaraderie,
You start having fun.
and you let everyone shine,
time.
and the main thing is everyone wants to be heard. right? So as long as everyone feels like they're heard
Yes.
and feels like their ideas have been addressed and they're let to shine and be in their role and their responsibility,
Yes.
that's how it all works the best
Let
together.
them do it.
Let them be who they are, right?
Yes.
And let them
grow.
let them be in their role, let them take that initiative and run with it. And that's really how you build a well-rounded team, because not everyone can do everything, right? So when you know this is your role, this is what you're focusing on, and so on and so forth, it brings the team element
Together
a lot
tighter as a
more,
whole.
and it makes the event experience better.
Yes.
It makes the people want to work with people again, because it's like, oh, this is a joy to do. This is actually
Yes.
this
And
is
fun.
And you can start setting up your team way in advance, and you can start doing things with your team so the team gets to know one another ahead of time. It's not just, oh, here I just met this
Email
person.
blast, put them on an email thread.
You could have
text
different,
thread.
maybe a couple different calls that you do, or you could have video conferences. So everyone's starting to meet everyone before the actual event. And then people know, okay, this person's taking care of this, so I don't have to worry about that.
Video conference
And this
will be
person's
good.
taking care of this, you know what I mean? So everyone knows what's going on, and they know their place too. Like they know what their
Yes.
purpose is.
Not trying to take over somebody else's
Nope.
job.
And everybody has that. And that's how you create a well-oiled machine, and you create the synergy, and you
Yes.
create that collective team atmosphere where everyone feels seen and heard, and they're able to express, and they're able to do what they do best,
Yes.
right? Because the challenge, a lot of times, people are put into a role and they don't know how to fill the role, right?
Yeah.
So if you're making sure that the only people you put in the roles are the people who know, or they've had time to figure out the role.
You'll have time as long as you're doing it ahead of time.
Yep. So don't wait until the last minute. Make sure that you have your proper team
Meetings.
facilitated ahead of time. Ask for people's area of expertise and their opinions.
And their
And
advice.
don't just, oh, that's great, and don't do anything with it. Like actually, you know,
Yes.
see what you can do to incorporate some of these ideas into things for a long-term play that you can continue to do.
Love it.
Anything else on that?
That's it.
Alrighty. Well, that was today's episode again
Thank you
on
so
Event
much for
Team.
being here.
So make sure that you, you know, what are the nuggets that you can pull out of this? How can you, put this
Implement right away.
use and into action? And that's that's the main thing. Is always remember whenever you're listening to these episodes, it's like, okay,
Have
this
your
is the topic
notepad.
today.
Yes.
This is what I'm taking away. This is what I'm going to start putting
Just
into
take
use.
notes.
And take notes, but then actually
Yeah,
do
use
something
it.
with those notes,
Yes.
right? It's about the action component. We can listen. We got to implement. We got to take action. And so, like we always say, it only takes an instant to make an impact, but you've got to take action to make an impact, right?
Yes.
So figure out what your role is on your team. Who are the other people that you need to add to your team to facilitate the best team that you can put together. And you can always grow and expand your team down the road as well. But start looking at how you can put these different key components together to create the best team possible for you and your event experience. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you next
Bye-bye.
time. Bye.